When billionaire CEO Nathan Westbrook boards a private jet to Chicago, the last thing he expects is to come face to face with his past. What starts as a heated argument with flight attendant Sophia Martinez over spilled whiskey quickly turns into something much more dangerous and deeply personal. Welcome back, dear friends and story lovers. Tonight, we bring you a tale where love is tested, secrets come to light, and fate takes an unexpected turn. Every moment will pull you in deeper, and every choice could change everything. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and if this story touches your heart. Like, subscribe, share it with someone who believes in true love, and hit the bell so you never miss the next chapter. Asterisk, the crystal whiskey glass shattered against the cabin wall. Amber liquid cascading down the pristine white interior like liquid gold. Sophia Martinez watched the $500 scotch destroy a suit worth more than her monthly salary and felt absolutely nothing. Look what you've done. Nathan Westbrook's voice cut through the aircraft's hum, sharp as broken glass. His platinum watch caught the cabin lights as he gestured at the spreading stain across his charcoal Italian wool. This suit costs more than you make in a month. The private jet lurched again, caught in turbulence somewhere over the Midwest. Sophia gripped the nearest seat back, her Navy uniform impeccable despite the chaos. 28 she had perfected. The art of remaining calm while entitled billionaires lost their minds at altitude. I apologize for the accident, Mr. Westbrook. Let me get you some towels. Apologize? Bladed. You people are all the same. You people are all the same. No sense of responsibility, no understanding of what real work means. Something in his tone made her spine stiffen. She had heard condescension before, but this felt personal, dangerous. Excuse me? You heard me? You work in service because you couldn't make it anywhere else. You probably came from nothing, and will always be nothing. The words hit like physical blows. Sophia thought of the 3 jobs she had worked through college, the aviation certification earned through sleepless nights, the reputation built on years of excellence. But something else nagged at her. Something about his voice, the way he pronounced certain words, made her heart race in a way that had nothing to do with professional offense. Sir, I understand you're upset about your suit, but there's no need for personal attacks. Nathan's eyes snapped to hers, really seeing her for the first time since boarding. Cold calculation flickered across his features, but underneath it, she caught something else. Recognition? Possible? Have we met before? The question escaped. Before she could stop it, he paused mid-tirade, studying her face with sudden intensity. Those eyes, sharp as winter steel, searched hers. For a moment, his mask slipped, revealing something vulnerable underneath. I don't associate with flight attendants, he said finally, but his voice lacked its earlier venom. It's maybe in school, or I went to exclusive private schools. Places where people like you wouldn't be admitted. But even as he spoke, his gaze lingered on her face, tracing the line of her jaw, the curve of her mouth. The turbulence outside seemed to settle, but the storm inside the cabin was just beginning. Sophia turned to retrieve cleaning supplies, feeling his stare burning into her back. When she returned, Nathan was gripping his armrest, knuckles white. As she leaned forward to place towels on his table, her dark hair fell across her face in a cascade that made him inhale sharply. For just a moment, she wasn't a flight attendant in uniform. She was 18 again, laughing in a school hallway, eyes bright with dreams and possibility. Your last name, he said suddenly, his voice barely above a whisper. Name Martinez. Sophia Martinez. The name hung between them like a live wire. Nathan's face went completely still, as if she had just revealed the location of buried treasure, or a loaded gun. Is there something wrong, Mr. Westbrook? He stared at her for a long moment, the weight of 10 years and 1,000 choices pressing down on them both. Outside, Chicago's skyline began to emerge through the clouds, glittering and sharp. No, he said finally, but his voice cracked on the word. Nothing's wrong at all. Nathan Westbrook stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his Chicago penthouse, watching the city lights blur through expensive glass. 3 scotches hadn't erased the image burned into his retinas, dark hair falling across a face he had once known better than his own. Sophia Martinez. The name echoed in his mind like a prayer he had forgotten how to say. Emma, he called to his assistant, who was still working at the dining table despite the late hour. I need you to research someone. Emma looked up, her tired eyes reflecting the laptop screen's glow. Of course, Mr. Westbrook. Business-related? Sophia Martinez, flight attendant. I want everything. Background, education, work history. His voice carried the edge that made stock prices fluctuate. Make it priority one.
Atch!
Across the city, Sophia sat on the edge of her hotel bed, staring at her phone. A day's latest text glowed on the screen. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I love you. She should call him. Should tell her fiancé about her day, about the difficult passenger, about the wedding plans they needed to finalize. Instead, she found herself walking to the bathroom mirror, studying her reflection as if searching for ghosts. At 28, she had changed. Her hair was shorter now, professionally styled. Success had given her confidence, polish. But underneath the surface, she was still the girl who had once believed in fairy tales, the girl who had loved Nate Morrison. 10 years ago, Lincoln High School. Sophie, wait up. The voice that called her name was warm, genuine, nothing like the cold billionaire from the aircraft. This was Nate, with messy hair and a thrift store jacket, carrying books held together with duct tape. 18-year-old Sophia Martinez turned from her locker, balancing 3 part-time jobs and a full course load. Dreams of aviation school seemed impossible from her working-class neighborhood.
Oh, but Nate made her believe.
Ready for the chemistry test? She asked, though they both knew studying was just an excuse to spend time together. With you as my partner? Always. His grin made her heart skip the way it always did. My mom's working late. Want to study at my place. Sophia knew his story. Single mother, 3 jobs, a father who had abandoned them when Nate was 12, just like her own broken family. But somehow they had found light in each other's darkness. They walked through the corridors of Lincoln High, past peeling paint and broken lockers, dreaming of futures that seemed as distant as the stars. Nate wanted to change the world. Sophia wanted to fly. When we make it, Nate had whispered one night, fingers intertwined with hers on the school's rooftop. We'll never forget where we came from. We'll never forget each other. Promises made by teenagers felt eternal then. Present day. Sophia's phone buzzed, jolting her back to reality. An unknown Chicago number appeared on the screen. Miss Martinez. This is Emma Chen, assistant to Nathan Westbrook. Mr. Westbrook would like to arrange a meeting with you tomorrow morning. He has a business proposition. Sophia's blood turned to ice. I'm sorry, what kind of proposition? He didn't specify details. Just that it was important. Would 10 a.m. work? The address is, I'm flying back to New York tomorrow. Mr. Westbrook's private jet can accommodate your return flight. He's prepared to make it worth your time. The line went quiet except for the sound of Sophia's racing heart. This was insane. Billionaires didn't arrange mysterious meetings with flight attendants. Miss Martinez. Are you there? Yes. 10 a.m. The words escaped before rational thought could intervene. Text me the address. After hanging up, Sophia stared at her reflection again. The girl in the mirror looked terrified and exhilarated. In equal measure, somewhere in Nathan Westbrook's cold eyes, she had glimpsed the boy who once made her believe in forever. The question was, what had happened to turn Nate Morrison into Nathan Westbrook? And why, after 10 years of silence? Did he want to see her now? Her phone buzzed with Jake's number. This time she let it go to voicemail. The Westbrook Technologies building pierced the Chicago skyline like a steel and glass dagger. Sophia stood in the marble lobby, feeling small beneath the soaring ceiling and contemporary art that probably cost more than her annual salary. Her hands trembled as she gave her name to the receptionist. Mr. Westbrook is expecting you. Top floor. The elevator ride lasted forever and no time at all. When the doors opened, Emma Chen waited with a polite smile that didn't reach her eyes. Miss Martinez. Right this way. Nathan's office occupied the entire corner of the building, windows offering a panoramic view of Lake Michigan. But Sophia's attention fixed on the man behind the massive desk. In daylight, without the aircraft's dim lighting, the years between. 18 and 28 showed clearly on his face. Success had carved sharp angles where softness once lived. His suit probably cost more than her car. Yet when he looked up for just a moment, she saw Nate. Sophie. The nickname hit her like a physical blow. Only one person had ever called her that. It's Sophia now. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Mr. Westbrook. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. Emma closed the door, leaving them alone with 10 years of silence. I had Emma research your background, Nathan said, his tone businesslike. Impressive. Full scholarship to Northwestern, top of your class in aviation management, exemplary work record. You've built quite a life for yourself? What do you want, Nate? The name stopped him cold. For a moment, his corporate mask slipped completely. It's Nathan now. Has been for 8 years. He leaned back in his chair, studying her. I want to offer you a job, head of customer relations for Westbrook Aviation. 6-figure salary, full benefits, company car. Sophia stared at him. You're offering me a job? After yesterday's performance? Yesterday was he paused, choosing words carefully. A misunderstanding. I was stressed from the Peterson acquisition. You handled yourself professionally under difficult circumstances. You called me nothing, said I'd always be nothing. Something flickered across his features. Pain? Regret? It vanished too quickly to identify. Business is brutal, Sophia. Sometimes we say things we don't mean to get what we want. He stood, moving to the window. The offer stands. You'd be reporting directly to me. Why? Because you're qualified. That's not what I mean. And you know it. She stood as well, crossing the room until she was close enough to see the tension in his shoulders. Why did you really want to see me? After all this time? Nathan turned, and suddenly they were 18 again, standing too. Clothes in the empty hallway after everyone else had gone home. The same electricity crackled between them, dangerous and undeniable. You want the truth? His voice dropped to a whisper. 'Cause seeing you yesterday reminded me of who I used to be, before everything went to hell. What happened to us? Nate, you just disappeared. No calls, no letters, nothing. I waited for you, I know. The words came out broken. God, Sophie, I know. Then tell me why. He was quiet for so long, she thought he wouldn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice carried the weight of buried secrets. My father came back. Sophia's breath caught. Nate's father had been a ghost story, a cautionary tale about abandonment and broken promises. The night of graduation, showed up at our apartment, drunk and desperate. Said he had gambling debts, dangerous people after him, he needed money, or they'd kill him. Nate, my mother gave him everything, her college fund, her savings even borrowed against the house. His hands clenched into fists. It still wasn't enough. So he made me an offer. Sophia's heart hammered against her ribs. What kind of offer? His bookie had connections. Rich family looking for someone to take the fall for their son's hit and run. Kid had killed a family of 4 and walked away. They needed a patsy with no future, no connections. Nathan's laugh was bitter as broken glass. Guess who fit the profile perfectly? You didn't. The words came out as a whisper. 5 years in juvenile detention, record sealed when I turned 18. In exchange, my father's debts disappeared, and my mother got a new house in a safe neighborhood. He met her eyes, and she saw the boy she had loved buried beneath layers of guilt and rage. I couldn't drag you into that darkness, Sophie, so I let you go. The room spun around her. Everything she thought she knew about their past crumbled like sand. You should have told me. You could have figured something out. With what? Hope in teenage dreams. He shook his head. I made my choice. Learned to survive in places you can't imagine. When I got out, I used every connection I'd made, every dirty trick I'd learned to build this empire. He gestured at the office, the view, the trappings of success. Blood money built this kingdom, Sophie. I'm not the boy you loved anymore. Sophia stepped closer, close enough to see the pain he carried like armor. Yes, you are. Before he could respond, before rational thought could intervene, she kissed him. 10 years of questions and heartbreak and what-ifs poured into that moment. Nathan's resistance lasted exactly 3 seconds before he pulled her against him, desperate and hungry and achingly familiar. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. "I'm engaged," she whispered against his lips. "I know." His forehead rested against hers. Emma's research was thorough. "This is insane. Probably I should go." Probably. Neither of them moved. Outside, Chicago hummed with life and possibility. Inside, 2 broken people stood on the edge of a cliff, knowing that jumping meant destroying everything they had built to protect themselves from exactly this moment. Sophia's phone buzzed. Jock's face smiled up at her from the screen, along with a text. "Landing in Chicago early. Surprise. I can't wait to see my future wife." Nathan saw the message. His face went carefully blank, the corporate mask sliding. "Back into place? Take the job, Sophie. We're both adults now. We can handle working together." She looked at him, this stranger wearing Nate's face, and realized she was about to make the biggest mistake of her life. "When do I start?" 3 weeks into her new position at Westbrook Technologies, Sophia discovered that working with Nathan was like dancing with fire. Every meeting was a careful choreography of professional distance and barely restrained tension. They were both masters at pretending the kiss had never happened, till the Peterson files changed everything. "Sophie, I need you to review these contracts," Nathan said, sliding a thick folder across the conference table. It was after hours, the building empty, except for the cleaning staff and the ghosts of their shared past. Peterson Industries. Sophia frowned as she opened the file. "I thought that acquisition was complete. Final documentation. I need your signature on the transfer paperwork." "Customer relations oversight." Something in his tone made her pause. Nathan was many things, but he had never been careless with details. She began reading the documents carefully, her aviation industry background making certain clauses stand out like red flags. "Nathan, these maintenance schedules." She looked up to find him watching her with an expression she couldn't read. "Peterson's fleet inspection reports are falsified. These aircraft aren't airworthy. Business is complex, Sophie. Sometimes corners get cut." "Cut corners?" She stood, the papers scattering. "These planes are flying with passengers. If these reports are accurate, Peterson's been operating death traps for months." The Peterson family needed quick capital, provided a solution by covering up safety violations. Horror crept into her voice. "Nathan, people could die. People die every day." His voice was cold, businesslike. "The Peterson acquisition netted us $200 million. That money funds research that will save thousands of lives in the long run." Us. Sophia stared at the man across from her, searching for any trace of the boy who once dreamed of changing the world. Instead, she saw a stranger wearing Nate's face, speaking words that cut like ice. "I won't sign this." "Yes, you will." Nathan stood, moving around the table with predatory grace. "Because you work for me now, because you took this job knowing exactly who I am. I thought you were better than this." "Then you thought wrong." He stopped in front of her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, see the gold flecks in his eyes. "I told you, blood money built this empire. Did you think that was a metaphor?" The documents fell from her numb fingers. "Hit and run. It wasn't you, was it?" Nathan's smile was sharp as a blade. "Very good. My father owed money to the Peterson family, among others. Victor Peterson's son killed 4 people driving drunk. But Victor Peterson doesn't just buy silence, Sophie. He buys loyalty. For life. You've been working for them this whole time. Working with them. There's a difference." He moved to the window, hands clasped behind his back. The juvenile record was real. So was the 5 years locked up with the worst humanity has to offer. But Victor Peterson didn't just erase my father's debts. He gave me education, connections, startup capital. He made me into this, into a monster, to someone who survives. Nathan turned back to her, and for a moment she saw the boy he had been, broken and desperate and making impossible choices. "Do you know what I learned in juvenile detention, Sophie? That the world doesn't care about your good intentions. It only respects power. So you sold your soul for it. I sold my soul to keep my mother alive. His voice cracked on the last word. The Petersons have a long reach, cross them, and people disappear. I couldn't let that happen to her, or to you. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. That's why you offered me the job. To keep me quiet, to keep you safe. Nathan's mask slipped completely, revealing raw desperation underneath. Victor Peterson knows about your background investigation. He knows we have history. As long as you're part of the organization, you're protected. And if I refuse, then you become a liability. The words hung between them like a death sentence. Sophia felt the walls of the corporate tower closing in, felt the weight of Nathan's secrets, crushing down on her. I trusted you. You shouldn't have. Her phone buzzed. Jake's face smiled up at her. Flight delayed. See you tomorrow. Love you. Nathan saw the message, saw the engagement ring catching the office lights. His expression hardened into something unrecognizable. There's something else you should know about your fiancé, ice flooded Sophia's veins. What about Jake? Jacob Morrison, investigative journalist for the Chicago Tribune, currently researching corporate aviation safety violations. Nathan's smile was cruel. Funny coincidence, don't you think? The room tilted around her. That's impossible. Emma's research is always thorough. Your engagement to Jake wasn't an accident, Sophie. He's been investigating Peterson Industries. For 6 months, dating you is just a way to get close to someone in the aviation industry. You're lying. Check his laptop when you get home. Search for Peterson Aviation Cover-Up. I'm sure you'll find it illuminating. Sophia's legs gave out, sending her stumbling into the nearest chair. Everything she thought she knew about her life crumbled like a house of cards. What is this? She whispered. Some cosmic joke? The only 2 men I've ever trusted both used me. Difference is I'm telling you the truth. Nathan knelt beside her chair, his voice gentle for the first time since she had walked into his office. Jake is using you to build his career. I'm trying to save your life by making me complicit in murder, by keeping you alive long enough to find another way. Sophia looked at the man kneeling beside her, the boy she had loved, the stranger, who had broken her heart and put it back together and was breaking it again. Outside, Chicago glittered with false promises. Sign the papers, Sophie. Nathan's voice was barely a whisper. Give me time to figure out how to get us both out of this. And if you can't, then we go down together. She stared at the contracts. Scattered across the floor, each page a death warrant for innocent passengers. And then she picked up Nathan's pen and signed her name in careful script. As the ink dried, she realized she had just chosen him over everything she believed in. The question was whether he was worth it. The warehouse smelled of motor oil and desperation. Sophia crouched behind shipping containers, her heart hammering against her ribs as Victor Peterson's voice echoed through the cavernous space. You've become a problem, Nathan. Nathan stood. In the center of the warehouse floor, hands zip-tied behind his back, blood trickling from a cut above his eye. But his voice remained steady. I've made you millions, Victor. The Peterson acquisition is compromised. Victor Peterson emerged from the shadows, a silver-haired predator in a $1,000 suit. Your girlfriend's journalist fiancé has been asking uncomfortable questions about maintenance records, about my son's accident 10 years ago. Sophie doesn't know anything, but she will. Young love has a way of inspiring confessions. Victor smiled cold. As Winter? Besides, you've served your purpose. The aviation contracts are signed, the safety inspectors are bought, and the paper trail leads back to you. A convenient scapegoat, just like your father promised. Sophia's blood turned to ice. 3 days had passed since she signed the Peterson documents. 3 days since Jake had confronted her with evidence of the cover-up, his laptop filled with months of investigation into aviation safety violations. 3 days since she realized that both men in her life had been using her as a pawn in a larger game. But Jake's revelation had included something else. The location of this meeting. Overheard during a phone call he had been secretly recording. Where is she? Nathan asked, and Sophia heard the fear in his voice. Miss Martinez is indisposed. My associates are collecting her as we speak. Victor checked his platinum watch. She should be here shortly. Touching reunion before the tragic murder-suicide that will cap off this sordid tale of corporate espionage and forbidden love. Nathan's composure finally cracked. You bastard. Our deal was for my silence, not her life. Deals change. You should have learned that by now. Sophia closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the decision she had made 3 hours ago. In federal custody, evidence safely delivered to the FBI. The Peterson documents she had signed were forgeries. Created with Nathan's help to build an unbreakable case against Victor Peterson, Nathan had been working both sides from the beginning. You want to know the truth about your father's debts? Nathan's voice carried across the warehouse, and Sophia heard something new in his tone. Hope? Victor Peterson killed him? That hit and run. Your son committed? My father was the passenger in the other car. Victor's facade slipped for just a moment. Impossible. Medical records don't lie. DNA evidence doesn't lie. Nathan straightened despite his restraints. I've spent 10 years gathering proof. Every contract, every bribe, every covered-up safety violation. It's all documented, Victor, and copies are already in federal hands. Even if that were true, you'd be implicating yourself. Small price to pay for justice. Victor raised his gun, aiming at Nathan's chest. You always were too sentimental. Sophia moved without thinking, stepping from the shadows with her hands raised. Let him go.
Ow.
Both men turned toward her.
Right.
Victor smiled with satisfaction. Miss Martinez, how thoughtful of you to join us voluntarily. It saves my associates a trip. I have what you want. Sophia reached into her jacket, moving slowly. The original Peterson documents, the ones with the real signatures. Sophie, don't. Nathan's voice was desperate. Run. I'm done running. She met his eyes across the warehouse floor, saw the boy she had loved and the man he had become, broken and beautiful and worth saving. I'm done letting other people pay for my choices. Throw me the documents, Victor ordered, gun still trained on Nathan. Instead, Sophia pulled out her phone. I'm calling the FBI. They're 3 minutes away. Your choice, Victor. Kill us both. And spend the rest of your life in prison or cut your losses and run. The FBI won't protect you from me. Maybe not. But they'll protect everyone else from the planes you've put in the sky. Sophia stepped closer, her voice carrying the same steel that had once helped her survive 3 jobs in aviation school. How many innocent people are you willing to murder to cover up your son's crime? Victor's hand trembled, age and desperation making his aim unsteady. You have no idea what you're messing with. I know exactly what I'm messing with. Coward, who spent 10 years destroying lives to protect his precious reputation. The sound of sirens began to echo off the warehouse walls. Victor Peterson looked between Sophia and Nathan, his empire crumbling around him like sand. This isn't over. Yes, Nathan said quietly. It is. Victor fired. Sophia felt the bullet tear through her shoulder, spinning her around and sending her crashing into the concrete. Pain exploded through her body. But she stayed conscious long enough to see Nathan break free of his restraints and tackle Victor Peterson to the ground. The last thing she remembered was the warehouse filling with federal agents and the sound of Nathan calling her name. 6 months later, Sophia adjusted her sling and looked out the airplane window as Chicago's skyline fell away beneath them. The bullet had done damage, but nothing that wouldn't heal. Unlike some wounds, which cut deeper than flesh and bone. Nervous. Nathan asked from the seat beside her. About testifying? No? She turned to study his profile, noting the faint scar above his eye where Victor Peterson's bodyguard had hit him. About us. Terrified. Nathan reached for her hand with his free one, the other arm still in a cast from the warehouse fight. We don't have to figure it all out today. Jake's been calling. I know. He wants to interview you for his book. About the Peterson case. What did you tell him? That some stories are private. Sophia squeezed his fingers, feeling the calluses he had earned through years of surviving in places she couldn't imagine. That some people deserve the chance to write a different ending. The airplane climbed toward cruising altitude, leaving the wreckage of their past somewhere in the turbulence below. Ahead lay Washington, D.C., where they would testify against Victor Peterson and his empire of corruption. After that, who knew? Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had told me the truth 10 years ago? Sophia asked. Every day? Nathan brought her hand to his lips, pressing a gentle kiss to her knuckles. No. But maybe we weren't ready for the truth then. Maybe we needed to break before we could learn how to heal. Outside the window, the sky stretched, endless and blue, full of possibility. Sophia closed her eyes and felt something she hadn't experienced in years: peace. They had survived the storm, both of them. Sometimes that was enough. In the end.